imagine you giving the presentation. Welcome everybody. Thank you for coming to this free presentation called 65 and Change. It is a program that is designed to help you live a healthier and more fulfilled life after age 65. And there's nothing going to be sold here. Everything is free. I'm just doing this as a community resource. I really love this community and want to give back to it, and this is something that I'm passionate about. I know a lot about change and how the brain works and all that stuff, and I just like to be able to pass that information along because it's helped me a lot in my own life, and I know it will help you too. We all know that change is hard, right? We all know that. But it's really important to understand that little tricks can make change a lot easier. And it can help us stay healthy because a lot of times trying to get healthier is all about change, right? Trying to change your diet to be healthier. Try to go to the gym more. That's change. Trying to clean your house more often to keep it nice and tidy. That's change. Your body is resistant. Your brain doesn't want to go out and exert that kind of energy. So you have to force it to get up and try to clean your house and do all this kind of stuff. But there's little tricks that we can show you that you can put in place immediately after this presentation that will help you make change a lot easier. The things we're going to talk about today: how change works. We're going to talk about a few facts about habits, why we get our best ideas in the shower, and lastly, we're going to give you some concrete tips that you can implement right away on how to improve your health and well-being. All right? This whole presentation is going to be within half an hour, so sit tight. It'll go by before you know it. Let's get started. All right. Obviously, we said change is hard. How many of you out there, I want to see a show of hands, how many out there would prefer a clean house over a dirty one? Let me see it. Prefer a clean house. Most people, right? I think we can all agree that a clean house is obviously nicer to live in than a dirty one. But how many of you out there prefer a clean house, but sometimes have a hard time getting motivated to actually clean it? Let's see. I know I do. Okay? And why is that? Why do our brains naturally resist something that we know would make us feel better if we did it? Right? We know we would feel better if we cleaned our house more often, but we just don't do it. Right? And we choose like watching TV over cleaning our house. Why? Well, there's a lot of theories out there as to why humans in general are resistant to change. But luckily for us, there's also a lot of great suggestions. And the best ones revolve around gaining momentum. Okay? By gaining momentum, you can make small changes that will impact much larger ones. So for the house example, instead of worrying about cleaning your whole house, which can be very daunting, just think about one room. Start with one room and set a timer for 3 minutes. That's it. Take your phone, your little egg timer, anything, your microwave, whatever you want to do, set a timer for 3 minutes and go to work on just one messy room. I guarantee you will be shocked at how quickly it gets spruced up. And chances are you're not going to stop after that 3 minutes is up. Right? You're going to keep going because you're going to see the positive results that come from implementing this change. So again, don't worry, think small. Don't worry about the big, larger house. Worry about one little room and start with just a timer for 3 minutes. Same thing goes for health, right? For getting healthier. Don't think about huge changes. Don't think about changing your entire diet, getting on the treadmill every day. Start slow. Go for a walk around the block today and do it again tomorrow, okay? These little changes will help you gain momentum, and making larger changes will seem like a breeze. They'll come very easy. They will naturally happen. When you start to do good things, everything else will follow. All right? So start with those little changes. Don't bog your brain down. Think about the clean house, the 3-minute clean room rule, you can call it. Right? Think about that for everything. Don't just think about it for cleaning your house. Small changes for everything. Let's talk quickly about how our brains work. Our brains, imagine in there is a human rider on top of a large elephant. All right? Each component, each part of that, the human rider and the elephant, are going to have its pros and cons, the good things and the bad things about each. So let's go individually. The rider part of your brain. The rider part of your brain is rational. It's the part that likes to plan things out, to think about, to analyze. It loves Excel spreadsheets, right? It really enjoys planning out things for the future. Right? It's rational. That's your rational side. So the rider is the part of your brain that's going to say, oh, we've got a wedding coming up in the summer, and it's the winter now, so we need to start getting on a diet so we look good in that outfit that we're going to wear to the wedding. That's your rider, planning out that diet. The rider also has its cons. The good stuff, obviously, the rational loves to plan things out, but the not so good stuff, the rider has a tough time getting things started. right? It's odd that the rider would love to plan this entire diet out, but has a hard time actually following through with it, right? It wants to, but sometimes it's hard. It spins its wheels, the rider. So your elephant is your emotional side of your brain, the part that feels pleasure and pain, that feels love, okay? This elephant is, if you think about the rational rider and the large emotional elephant, I think everyone can think about an example in your life where emotions trumped over reason, right? That's because you've got this little rider who's rational on top of this enormous elephant, but when there's a dispute on which way you're going to go, chances are the elephant's going to win, regardless of how hard that rider is pulling on the reins. All right? So even though the rider may look like it's in control, the elephant is really in control. The not so good stuff about the elephant is that it needs instant gratification. That immediate satisfaction comes from your elephant side of your brain. Even if the rider is saying, don't do that, your elephant is probably going to win. So your rider planned out a diet to look good for the wedding, right? Everything's going great. But then your elephant sees the Oreos in the pantry. Who's going to win, right? Who's going to win that battle? We've all been there. The elephant is going to win, right? And now the rider may start reasoning. Is rational. Might go, well, I ate a salad earlier, exercised yesterday, and okay, let's go for him, right? So it's not that your rider is going, no, it's not. It's always right. The rider actually can start rationalizing these negative decisions that the elephant's trying to make because it's emotional. So this rational and emotional side of your brain is going to come into play throughout the presentation, and that's why I wanted to talk to you about it now. But it's not all bad. It's important to know that having the tools to understand how your brain works, you can get these two to work together. They don't have to work against each other. Right? It's not always a good rider trying to get you to do the right thing and the elephant's trying not to. Your rational side of your brain could be telling you to do something that isn't right, but your emotional, your gut is saying, I don't think that's the right direction. Right? And that elephant winning in that decision is probably the right choice. Okay? So raise your hand if you have never hit the snooze button in the morning. Never. Right? So why is that? Got our rider, he's up at night going, let's set the alarm for 5 or 7 a.m., right? So we can get up early. I don't have to be at work till 9 or 10. Let's set it early so we can go to the gym or go run around the block or get a good breakfast in, right? Your rider wants to be productive. Sets the alarm early. Morning comes around, elephant hits the snooze button, right? Because the elephant is the part of your brain that wants that instant gratification of that extra 10 minutes of sleep. Your rider may be waking up too and trying to go, oh, come on, we know how hard we want it. We wanted to work out, we wanted to do this, but their elephant is going to win. So how do we stop that? How can we help the rider fight or trick the elephant? One way is a invention called the clocky. An MIT student came up with this years ago. I believe it's still on the market, I'm not sure. It's an alarm clock that has wheels. These are wheels. Okay? And here's the alarm in the middle. Sits on your nightstand at night, your rider sets it for 7 or 5 or whatever, goes off in the morning, starts blaring, rolls off your nightstand and starts tearing ass around the room, blah, 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 hitting walls and going all over the place. Now your rider is laughing in the morning because your elephant has to hop out of bed, go, I want to turn this thing off because I want to sleep, hops out of bed, goes and tracks it down, turns it off. Even though you still want that extra sleep, and now you're annoyed to boot, you still want that extra sleep, it's going to be a lot easier for your rider to go, we're already up. Let's just get the clothes on. Let's go do it now. Let's throw the running shoes on. Your rider at least has a fighting chance against this elephant with this solution called the clocky. So the clocky is an invention that helps your rider trick your elephant into getting up early. Right? Understanding how our brains work is important to having these solutions to be able to actually make them work together. Ever had a brilliant idea in the shower? I have. Why is it? Why do we get brilliant ideas in the shower? It has nothing to do with being naked. Doesn't have anything to do with the shower. Right? Great ideas come when we have a clear mind. But that's not really the answer, because what makes showering so special that it clears our mind? Right? There's nothing. In fact, I'm actually thinking a lot of times in the shower. I don't feel like my mind is clear. The real answer here is that we're performing a habit. And habits are the key to clear minds. So let's think about our brain in a different way now. Think about your brain as an onion. Okay? Decent sized onion, hopefully. most of our thinking happens in the outer realm, the outer rings, okay, those peels, the outer area of our brain. That's where our thinking happens. So when we're up in the morning, we're thinking about our to-do list. We're thinking about what we're going to do that day, what we're going to wear, which direction we're going to go to work, all this kind of stuff. That's where the outer areas are just on fire. They're going crazy. Because it's not a habit. You don't know what those things are. You're deciding those things every day. So if you could turn the lights off on your brain and see the areas that are lighting up, those outer areas would be lighting up like crazy when you're doing most of your thinking. But when habits come into play, when something becomes a habit, that thinking moves. It's no longer in the outer area. That thinking moves to an area called the basal ganglia. Think of a golf ball inside the center of an onion. All right? The basal ganglia is actually a golf ball-sized region sitting right where our spinal cord hits our brain. All right? And that region is where habits are performed. So when you do something enough, that outer area, and you're performing that habit, like showering, right? Whether you realize it or not, you probably do the same thing in the shower every day. You probably do your left arm, then you do this, and then you do that. Whatever your routine is, it's a habit. You've been doing it enough throughout your life that it is automatic now. And because you're performing that habit, the outer areas aren't doing anything. They're free. It's the middle golf ball size that would be lighting up if you were to turn the lights off in your brain. Right? So you freed up that area by performing a habit. So when the activity's happening inside the golf ball, the outer areas are free and clear. Think about backing out of your driveway. Think about you get a new house, you got a really complex driveway that you have to back out of. Right? And the first time you do it, you're really paying attention. And maybe even the 30th time you do it, you're really paying attention. How far is the trash can? Is that tree behind me? Which way do I have to go? How much gas? Is the traffic coming? All that stuff, outside area of your brain. Right? So the outside area is clogged up with thoughts. But once you perform that action 100, 200, 300 times, whatever it takes, it's now going to become a habit. And that procedure is going to, you get in your car in the garage, and boom, your brain is going to move the area to the basal ganglia, and it's going to fire from there. So that middle area is going to light up, and the outside area is going to be open. So the 300th time that you back out of your driveway, you're going to be able to remember that you left your lunch inside. You're going to be able to think about what you're going to do that day at work, because it's the outer areas that are going to be free and clear, because now it's a habit. All right? So we can see why habits would be great, but habits can work against us too. If you were given 5-day-old squeaky popcorn, would you eat it? How many people would eat it? One person that would eat it. Gross, by the way. That's disgusting. How dare you? So most people would agree that that's a bad idea. Why would we eat 5-day-old squeaky popcorn? But you'd be surprised, because there was a study. We'll call it the popcorn study. Moviegoers, back in 1990, they were going to see Mel Gibson's movie Ransom. That'll date it for you. I think it was 1990. They got a bucket of popcorn for free. Half the people that came in got a large bucket, too big to finish. The other half got a gigantic bucket, enormous, double the size, like put it on your lap, you're like this. All right? Both buckets, way too big to finish. All right? The catch, the popcorn was gross. It was 5-day-old, it was cold, and it squeaked when you ate it. All right? Horrible. Why? What were they really studying here? They weren't studying how easy it would be to make someone throw up, right? They were studying if people would eat more popcorn based on how large their bucket was. Right? Even though it was disgusting, gross popcorn. They wanted to see. And why did they make it disgusting? Because that would be a variable that they couldn't control, the variable of Bill just loves popcorn. So you got Bill sitting next to Nancy. Nancy's got an enormous bucket, Bill's got a large one. But Bill loves popcorn, so he eats the whole thing. Right? So in order to corral that variable, they made the popcorn gross. Whether Bill loves popcorn or not, this isn't really popcorn. This is more like styrofoam at this point. Right? So no one would enjoy it. So no one would be eating because they enjoyed it. What do you think happened? Right? People ate it. And not only did people eat it, people with giant buckets ate 53% more popcorn. That's an average of 23 more dips into the bucket with their hand. 23! An extra 170 calories because they got a bigger bucket. What does that tell us? It tells us that the habit that our mothers and fathers ingrained in us when we were young to finish what's on your plate is still with us. right? And we're not thinking about the fact that this popcorn is gross. We are performing a habit of eating what's in front of us, okay? So the real point of this whole story is that when you're thinking about change, don't worry about the changing your diet, to everything, the Atkins diet or this, that. Don't worry about that. Start with shrinking the buckets, all right? Give yourself smaller buckets. It's proven you will eat less if you have smaller buckets. Get smaller plates. If you're going to have something like soda, have smaller glasses. Maybe use a wine glass, a small wine glass instead of, or a champagne flute for soda. If you're going to bag of chips, instead of dipping your hand in that whole bag of chips, as soon as you get home from the grocery store, open it up and put it all in sandwich bags. So you have 10 sandwich bags, 20 sandwich bags, all right, instead of a whole bag of chips. Because that bag of chips, when you open it, becomes a bucket. And if it's bigger, you're going to want to finish it. And even if you don't finish it, you're going to eat more. All right? It's proven. So shrink the buckets. One last story before we get on to concrete tips on how to improve your health and well-being using this newfound knowledge. All right? Has anyone ever gotten a loyalty card from a place that gets stamped or something like that every time you use it? Yeah? Most people, right? Most people have come across this type of marketing effort. Well, a car wash tried this out, but they had a little twist to it. They gave out loyalty cards. Half of the people that came in got a loyalty card that looked like this. There were 8 areas to be punched off, right? They came and they got their car wash. They gave them the card, didn't punch anything on it, said, here, if you get 8 more, you get a free car wash. And to the other half of the people, they got a card that looked almost identical, but instead of having 8 spots, it had 10. But there were 2 already stamped off. Okay? So there are already 2 stamps on the card. The goal is the same. Get 8 more car washes and you get a free wash, right? Regardless of what card you have, the goal is the same. But ironically, 19% of one group got it all the way to the end and got their free wash, and 34% of another did. Right? What do you think? Which one do you think was more successful? 2 stamps on the card. The 2 stamps on the card was much more successful. And the point is that if our brains think we're already part of a way along a journey, we're much more likely to continue that journey. And we're much more likely to reach the finish line. So if there are things we can do, if you want to start exercising, again, don't think big, think small. And not only are you going to try going for a walk around the block today and doing it again tomorrow and starting small like that, also try to get your brain to realize the things that you already do to exercise. Flapping the sheets on your bed, that's exercise, right? It is. Walking around, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, exercise, okay? Walking back and forth to the mailbox, exercise, right? Maybe you decide that, okay, instead of getting the mail all at once, I'm going to go just get 3 things out a couple times a day. So you make yourself do more exercise, right? Sounds retarded. Might work. So point is that you want to make your brain, try to get your brain to realize that you're already part of the way to whatever your destiny is, or your destination is. If you want to get to something, eat healthier, more exercise, whatever it is, make your brain think that it's already part of the way there. Put 2 stamps on the card. So now, how do we put this newfound knowledge to work in improving all of our physical well-being, diet and exercise, social connections, and our mental health? Okay? Now we're going to move on to where I give you some concrete recommendations on how to improve all of these. First, physical well-being. Going to the doctor, I think we can all agree that it's probably a smart idea to go to the doctor more for checkups and to get our preventive screenings. We are all so conditioned to going to the doctor when we don't feel well, right? When we're sick, or when we have something that we need to ask them or whatever. It's always triggered by something negative. So everybody can agree that getting preventive screenings, going to the doctor more, is a positive thing that we'd like to do in our lives. But it's very hard. When you're feeling well and you have something to do that day, it's hard to schedule that doctor visit and actually go. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to use something called piggybacking. All right? And we're going to change it to where you're going twice a year to your doctor. All right, one for checkups and some preventive screenings, and another time to do another checkup and more preventive screenings. We're going to figure out a way to get your brain to piggyback to other stuff that's already happening in your life. So what I want you to do is I want you to go home and put a sticky note on your fridge that says, doc checkup on same day as taxes. Everybody has to do their taxes. Now, whether you decide that you're going to do it on the same day that you go to your tax guy, that you fill out your TurboTax, or that you mail it in, doesn't matter. That's up to you. but piggyback this thing onto another. Your brain already is wrapping itself around the idea that it's got to do something that it probably doesn't want to do, like your taxes. Add on to it. It's, again, once you're already gaining momentum, it's much easier to get more stuff done. So if you're already doing something that you may not have wanted to do, you're already implementing change, like doing your taxes, it'll be much easier to get yourself to go to the doctor. So piggyback onto that. Then pick one more event around September or August timeframe and piggyback going for your next visit onto that. All right? And in the booklets I gave you, there's a little bit more information about specific stuff that maybe you should get each time you go, so you get certain preventive screenings one time and others the other time. But going twice a year when you feel well is going to be much better for you. You're going to be able to catch stuff early, and those preventive screenings are really going to pay off. Every study shows that almost every type of cancer, heart disease can be caught, if it's caught early, is all preventable. Okay? Improving diet and exercise. 3 things I think we can all agree are probably good to do. Using less salt in our meals, eating less cookies, and getting more exercise. Now, the salt one holds near and dear to my heart because for some reason I am petrified of kidney stones. I don't know why. I've never had a kidney stone. I've never seen anyone pass a kidney stone. But I can tell you that if there's ever such a thing as a past life, I had horrendous kidney stones in a past life, because when someone tells me about it, I feel it. Oh my God, I feel it in my back starting. Salt and sodium is a key reason why you get kidney stones. So I am saltless in my life. Okay, I avoid salt at all costs. So I want to pass that on. But whether you're scared of kidney stones or not, salt's not good to be put in. We do it automatically. It's kind of a habit, right? So let's talk about each of these. First one, I want you to move the salt to your bedroom. Take the salt and put it in a drawer in your bedroom. You're not going to forget. You're not going to forget where it is. Don't think that you're going to be sitting at your meal, your chicken, and you go, ooh, I need a little salt. Oh my God, where did I put it? You're going to remember that it's in your bedroom drawer. But the difference is that you're going to stop your brain from performing a habit that you no longer want to perform. When you're boiling pasta, what happens? You reach for it. You've been trained. It's embedded that, your pasta's going to just stick together in a clump if you don't put salt to it. I can tell you I've cooked pasta without salt, and it's fine. It doesn't stick together. It's fine. So, and same thing with meals. You're sitting down. You might grab salt and put it on before you even taste it, right? It's a habit. It's not to say that you can't use salt anymore. You can just give yourself that option. Give your brain the option of choosing whether you want to put salt on it. By having it on the table, by having it next to the stove, you're allowing your brain to execute the habit from the basal ganglia of adding it without even thinking. This will allow you just that little break to think about it and to decide if you want to put that salt in. Okay? Put the cookies under the bathroom sink. Now I see all your faces. I see your faces. All right? Sounds gross, right? How is underneath the bathroom sink any less sanitary than your pantry? If it is, then you might have other problems that we need to deal with, and I can follow up with you if you sign the consent to contact later. But the point is, you're still going to have it in. I'm not telling you to leave your cookies out in a tray under your sink. I'm saying keep it in the packaging, put it in the sandwich bags, whatever you do, but keep them under the sink. And here's why. Studies have shown that the time that you do your most introspective thinking about how you look is when you get out of the shower. Everyone's got a mirror in their bathroom, I think. And when you get out and you're looking at yourself at your most vulnerable, when you probably have no clothes on, unless you're weird and shower with clothes, that's when you're going to decide, I probably need to go on a diet. Or I want to do this, or I want to walk more, or whatever it is. That's when you are at your most vulnerable. You're looking at yourself in that mirror. Studies prove that. Okay? So why the bathroom instead of the bedroom and the closet? Because it's not the same thing as the salt where you just want to break that habit. Eating the cookies isn't probably a habit. It's something you're deciding to do. So all this is getting you to do is to be able to go into that same spot where you were when you got out of the shower, and look at yourself in that mirror and decide if getting those cookies is the right thing for you. Right? That's it. You may still decide you want to do it. That's okay. So you're just getting back, putting them under the sink allows you to put yourself in that same position that you were when you first decided that it's not a good idea to eat as many cookies, okay? So put the cookies under the sink. Last thing about diet and exercise, lay out your exercise clothes at night. Anyone ever tried this? No. How many people exercise in the morning? Well, I can tell that many people haven't tried this. So, if anybody wants to exercise in the morning, here might be a good idea. Your rider is usually the part of your brain that wants you to exercise in the morning, and your elephant is the one that doesn't, right? Your elephant will hit the snooze until you actually have to go to work, and then getting up and exercising isn't an option anymore, right? And your rider's able to rationalize and go, oh, well, I can't do it now. I have to go to work. So lay out your exercise clothes. Be meticulous. Lay everything out. Decide what shirt you're going to wear, what shorts. Get your socks out. Get your shoes, and put them in an area that you cannot ignore in the morning, right? Make the clocky roll over them. Put them right next to the bed, whatever it is, so that when you get up, you have to stare at those and realize that you made this conscious decision. You went out of your way. You didn't just think about it. You went out of your way to put these out, and that might give your rider a better chance at going, come on, let's just do it. Okay? So that's diet and exercise. Social connections. We all have pictures of our family all over our house. What about our friends? What about our acquaintances? What about people we go to lunch with every once in a while? We don't have those pictures because that's kind of creepy, right? It's okay. It is, right? But if you want to improve your social connections and get out more, put pictures of your friends in the same, put them out as much as you have pictures of your family. It is shown that people communicate with their family way more than their friends. It's not just because you're family, it's because you're seeing them all the time. You feel a greater connection to those people. And it's probably because they're in your life every day, because you're looking at them on the fridge and next to your couch. So if you have a smartphone, put a picture of your friend when they call, or put a picture of your friend on your background. Again, a little creepy, but if you want to improve your social connections, it's a way of getting your friends front and center, so it reminds you to make that call to go to lunch. Google walking clubs in your area. I know that some of you guys may not be familiar with the internet. Again, you're seniors here. But it's very simple. You go to google.com. You type in walking club in your area, Orlando, Kissimmee, Osceola, whatever it is, and you will get a list of free clubs that will just go out and walk, right? They're not racing around. They're not power walking. You can find clubs where they're just going out to socialize, meet people, and have a little fun while they exercise, right? Join one of those. It's very easy to do. They're free. Last thing, social media is a great way to stay in touch with friends, see recent pictures of family members, and just kind of keep in touch with everybody. I know that a lot of people out there might be worried about putting personal information online, but sites like Facebook and all this, they don't require barely any personal information. There's no credit card. It doesn't cost you anything. There's no chance of identity theft. You don't have to put a picture out even. But signing up for something like a Facebook can really help you keep in touch with friends and see pictures of family members and all that. In actuality, the largest growing group of people on Facebook are over age 74 right now. And there's over 39 million people on Facebook that are over age 64. 39 million over age 64. Okay, so you won't be alone. Lastly, improving your mental health. Okay, daily games, puzzles are obviously a great way, but sometimes it's just tough to come in contact with them. You don't want to go buy a book and everything. If you get your newspaper delivered, there's usually games in there, and a lot of people now have, smartphones. So if you go to apps, like Lumosity, it's free. It gives you daily games that you can play. Okay, so using your smartphone for other things than calling is a great little tool. You can use it, download free apps, and play little games, keep your brain going. Pass it along. Tell your friends about what you learned today. Talk to your family about it. Passing this information along, retelling these stories. Tell a story about popcorn. Tell a story about the car wash. You remember them, okay? Ask your family why they think they get good ideas in the shower, right? Passing this stuff along will just solidify it in your brain. You'll say it more, you'll believe it more, you'll understand it more, and making your own changes in your own life will be easier because you pass this stuff along. And lastly, and most importantly, put these changes into practice today, okay? Don't wait. You've learned them. You know them. You have the books. You're not going to forget this stuff. Everything I've said today and more is in this book, all right? 16 pages. It's an easy read, all right? And my information's on the back, okay? So if you want to reach out to me, if you want to call me, if you want me to be able to call you, we can arrange for that. I want to help you through this. Again, this is a free resource. So I want to thank you for your time. You guys have been an excellent audience. And again, like I said, I would love to stay in touch with you. This is something that I love to do. I love to talk about. Talked about it for half an hour today, but I could talk about it for hours. All right? I have a million other examples and stories that I didn't want to cram into this book, right, that I can tell you about. So maybe the salt thing doesn't work for you. I've got other suggestions. So I'd love to keep in touch. Right now, I can pass out consent to contact forms. I don't want to call you if you don't want me to. So I want record saying that you were okay with me calling you. So I'll pass these out. If you feel comfortable enough to give me your phone number, feel free to do so. I'll collect them at the end. And that's really it. Thank you for coming to the 65 and Change presentation. And I can open it up for questions now.